I kid you not, my mouth fell open when I understood the final twist. May has been a really productive reading month. I read 6 books and I think I found my new favorite series. Let's jump right in with the first 3 Cormoran Strike books by Robert Galbraith or J.K. Rowling. I don't know how I haven't read these books before because the first one came out in 2013, but I'm really enjoying the series. The first one, The Cuckoo's Calling, is more of an introductory book. We have a war veteran who lost his leg and he's now a PI. He sent a temporary assistant, Robin Ellicott, and together they have to figure out a suicide of a young model. Her brother comes in and says that he thinks it was actually a murder. I found this book a little bit weaker than books 2 and 3. It seems like in book 1 we're just figuring out the setting, but it was still a really well-written book. I enjoyed the language, I enjoyed the dialogues. They are amazing and very believable. I enjoyed the characters themselves. I like how grumpy and beaten by life Cormoran Strike is, and right next to him is Robin, who seems much more alive, much more happy. She has a fiance, she has a regular life, she has an apartment, she has money. And it seems like they are from 2 completely different worlds, but there is something that they both love doing, which is investigating crimes. I even watched an interview with J.K. Rowling, and she said that she actually first came up with an idea of the second book, but in order to get to the second story, you first need book number 1, which will introduce the characters and put Cormoran Strike's agency in front of people. As for book number 2, The Silkworm, I loved it. It was right up my alley with the plot. The only thing that I do have to say, I made a mistake of watching the first 2 seasons of the TV show before I read the books. I didn't realize what I was doing. I knew that Cormoran Strike name sounds familiar, but I couldn't figure out where I've heard about it from. And then I realized that it's the series of books that I want to read. So I need to stop right away. So with books 1 and 2, I actually knew what was going to happen and who the murderer was. But I do have to say that especially with book 2, it was much better for me to read the book because I saw so many details that I didn't notice in the TV show and that I think they didn't show quite well. In this one, Strike meets a woman who asks him to find her husband. He's a writer, not a very good one, but he's published some books and he is on the radar. He loves himself. He thinks that he's a genius. He's not a very good husband, not an amazing father, not an amazing friend, but his wife loves him and she's trying to find him. It is not unusual for him to disappear, but he's never disappeared for this long. And Cormoran Strike takes the case, not realizing that he's going to come across a horrible murder that he's going to have to solve, of course, with Robin. What I liked about this book is the setting. There are a lot of writers, a lot of agents, there is a publishing house, and these seemed like such a perfect setting. And what makes it even more mysterious and more intriguing is the fact that the author here was killed in a way which he talked about in his unpublished novel. So the pool of suspects narrows a little bit with that. Only so many people read the manuscript, so only, let's say, 6-7 people could have committed the crime. What I also like is the relationship between Cormoran and Robin. In the first book, the relationship is more of like, he's her boss, she's the secretary, and they are still trying to understand each other and they're still trying to find a way to connect. In book number 2, they are slowly becoming partners. Robin is still not quite a partner, but they're getting closer. She's not just a secretary anymore. She is involved in the investigation, and we see this build up of a certain relationship that, from what I understand, Rowling is going to continue turning into something more than just a work relationship or just a friendship. And right after this, I read book number 3, which is Career of Evil. I didn't think that I will read so many Cormoran Strike novels. I thought that I will read only the first one this year and then I will pause, but I just couldn't stop. So right away, I took book number 3 from the library. Thank God it was on the shelves and nobody took it. And this book was the first one where I didn't know what to expect because I haven't watched the TV show. So this was a complete mystery to me. And this book was very distinctly different from books number 1 and 2 because this one focuses a lot on the past of Cormoran Strike and Robin. So Robin receives a package which contains a severed leg, and Strike realizes that their agency is under attack. Someone who knows Strike, someone who knows Robin is trying to sabotage their work and potentially attack Robin because she's the one receiving the package. Strike understands that this is something personal. This is somebody who knows him because the leg was severed in a way how Strike lost his. So we know that it's somebody in his circle, and there will be 3 suspects who we are all going to investigate. But what makes it even more interesting is the fact that certain chapters are written from the point of view of the killer. I love that because it gives us a different perspective, but also without giving too much away. And I feel like here Rowling is already feeling more comfortable writing a mystery, and she clearly knows what she's doing. I can't wait to get to book number 4 because I've heard that she's getting more and more professional with each one of the stories. But this one was absolutely amazing. I was finishing this book at work and I kid you not, my mouth fell open when I understood the final twist. When I figured out what was going on, I was sitting there with my mouth open. And I also loved how Robin and Strike are getting closer to one another because we find out a lot about Strike's past because we're investigating 3 people from his past. And we also learn more about Robin, her history, why her dynamic with her fiance is a certain way. We see her family once more. So this book for me was a huge milestone. It feels like we're making a huge step towards this new relationship between Cormoran and Robin, and not just in the sense that they're partners. They are opening up to one another. They're not romantically involved, and they're slightly more than just casual friends now. So we see something like a real friendship starting to build up. So highly recommend all of these because this is my new favorite series. The next read that I was also very pleasantly surprised with is Agatha Christie's The Hollow. I haven't heard about this one before. I think it was only mentioned once by another booktuber, and that's it. I didn't realize that it was one of the Poirot mysteries, and I got curious, so why not try and read it? I'm trying to eventually get through all of Agatha Christie novels. And this was such a great read. I started getting a little bit tired of Agatha Christie. Her plots are built very similarly from book to book, and some stories that people are discussing a lot are built slightly different. So I think this is why they are so popular, because they are different from what Agatha Christie usually writes. Like Death on the Nile, The Murder on the Orient Express, and Then There Were None. This one, I think, deserves a spot next to those books. It's not quite as good, but it is built differently than her other novels are. And I even think that it had a slightly similar vibe to The Murder on the Orient Express. So if you loved that book, try reading this one. So the whole story here is that a group of people is getting together at a mansion of this one lady. They all know each other. Some of them are related, some of them are friends, but they are acquainted. And of course, Hercule Poirot is one of those invited to the party. But the party stops being so fun when a body of a man is found in the pool, and right next to him there's his wife standing with a gun. So of course everybody's suspecting the wife. She's right there, but she claims that she came to the pool, saw the gun lying there on the ground, she picked it up, and then she realized that her husband is the one killed. Is she telling the truth? Is she lying? What's going on? Other people also had motive for killing the man. So we're going to try to find out, and Hercule Poirot is of course going to lead us to the real killer. I also listened to Gentleman Overboard by Lewis. This is the book that surprised me a lot. It was lost for like 70 years, recovered by accident, and it's now becoming a huge read for a lot of people. This is a pretty short novella. I think you can read it in a day or two. And it is about a man who leaves his family to go on vacation. He goes to different places, Alaska, he goes to Hawaii, and he's traveling on a ship. He's on his way back to New York, back to his family, when he slips on an oil stain and falls into the middle of the Pacific Ocean. This book is basically his thoughts. He is remembering his life. He is thinking about how he's going to escape this situation. And slowly, you start seeing how his thoughts change as more and more time passes. First, he thinks this is funny. Of course, the boat is gonna notice that I'm gone. Of course, they're gonna turn around and find me. Of course, I'll be okay. There are no sharks in these waters, and I don't even care about the current moving me in a different direction. They're gonna find me. They're gonna turn right away. But then, as hours go by and he sees that the boat is going further and further away from him, he realizes that something is off. Maybe it's not as funny as it seems. He starts shouting after the boat. He starts even trying to swim towards the boat, but of course he's not as fast. Plus the boat has a couple hours ahead of him. Slowly we realize that there's no good ending that is possible. And the author is not giving us an answer. The author is not telling us that the man was saved or that he drowned. But you slowly start realizing that there can't be a happy ending. Maybe there will be. You're not sure. But it seems like happy ending is not probable. It's possible, but it's not probable. And the book is written in a way that showed the real author's life, how he was forgotten, how his books were forgotten. I don't know if he was prophetic and he knew what was going to happen to him and his work, but in his novel, he literally described what happened to him in real life. And finally, I read Emile Zola's The Lady's Paradise, and this was a wonderful read. We are in Paris of 19th century, and we follow a story of this young woman who comes with two of her brothers to Paris after her parents pass away, and she needs to take care of her brothers. She's 20, one of her brothers is 16, the second brother is like 5-ish, and she's hoping to find a job at her uncle's store. But he tells her that he does not have any business anymore. He would sell clothes and fabrics, but he doesn't have any business because there is this huge store called Lady's Paradise that stole the business not only from him, but from every other fabric and clothes seller in the neighboring streets. This is a story of the first Macy's or Bloomingdale's. This store is slowly opening a department after department. They're not just selling fabrics. They're not just selling dresses. They're not just selling umbrellas or shoes. They're selling everything. And this is a completely new model of doing things. Now women can come in and just buy everything they need. And because the store is so big, they can lower the prices and they can sell cheaper than any other vendor would. So that means that they get all the business. Whole Paris knows about them. They buy advertisements that are printed in other countries. Internationally, they become known, and everybody wants to come in. And we are learning about this store. I would say that the store is the main character in this story. But also we have this young woman who is starting to work in the store. We're learning about her relationship with her colleagues. We're learning about her relationship with her family because she's kind of torn between two fires. On the one hand, she has her uncle who lost all of his business because of this store. And on the other hand, She needs to feed her brothers, so she's working for this store. She's working for the people who stole all the business from her uncle. And not only we're learning about the story of this specific store and this specific woman, we are also learning about the birth of a completely new structure. It's kind of like the beginning of shopping malls. And slowly you see how this huge machine is crushing all the other small businesses and how people love this. You learn about the marketing techniques, you learn about the business techniques, and the author here is discussing the old structures versus new. These were all the books. Please let me know if you've read Cormoran Strike books and what you think about them, because I'm super curious. I love this series. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like it and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.